I've been journaling here and there for the past 3 years, but it wasn't until the last 3 months that I decided to make it a daily commitment. Since then, I realized that writing on a personal level in a way that no one else can see can completely supercharge every aspect of your life. So in this video, we're going to talk about how and why journaling has changed my life, and I'll be sharing insights, practical tried and tested tools, and evidence-based strategies that I use to journal effectively. Okay, let's start with how journaling helped me. There are a number of studies, research papers, books on why journaling is important, but for me, it really came down to 3 areas in which it made a noticeable difference in my life. The first is problem solving, and I see it as 3 layers in which journaling can help you solve problems, and depending on what question you ask yourself, it can unpack your problems at one of these 3 levels. So the first level is your everyday problems. These are your immediate, relatively smaller scale issues that affect your day-to-day life. For instance, maybe you're feeling anxious about a presentation that's coming up, or maybe you argued with your partner yesterday and that's still playing on your mind. Instead of letting these feelings fester, you write them down so that you can make sense of it. Maybe when you write down that you're feeling anxious for your presentation, you realize that it's because you're not fully prepared. Or when you write about the argument with your partner that escalated unnecessarily, you realize that you just need to have a calm conversation with them after you've collected your thoughts and realized what it is that's bothering you. When I just take some time to write my thoughts down on paper, I'm able to detach from them and better understand what's going on so that I can sort through my daily stress and manage the situations more effectively. Then there's big picture problem solving. This is where you map out your bigger, more strategic decisions. So for instance, maybe you're working towards a promotion, but you're doubting yourself because it requires hiring and managing a team, but you've never hired before. And so you don't even know how to go about it. So just by knowing that that is the bottleneck, it can lead you to then seek out the appropriate answers or even resources or people that will help you solve that problem. So maybe you decide, okay, now I know that hiring people is something that is going to hold me back from potentially getting promoted. So maybe one of the books that I read is The Culture Code for Recruitment by Daniel Cole, just to understand better what good hiring means. So for me, last week, I was thinking about the direction of my channel, and I was thinking, I don't want to continue talking about personal finance in every single video because I feel like I'm sometimes repeating myself and I'm not enjoying the process. So then I thought, okay, what about if I make a video on journaling? I've been doing it recently. Why can't I make a video on that? And then I answered my own question. Well, it might not resonate with my audience as much and people might not find it as helpful. Okay, so then why do you want to do it? And then I answered the why, and it's because it fuels my creative spirit and it gives me this added motivation to continue creating, and therefore I can also make better finance videos as a result. Okay, cool. Now I'm making sense of it all and I know where I'm going. So that's the kind of big picture problems. And then there's the life problem solving. And this is the part that genuinely, hands down, changed my life. And I do not say that lightly. This is where you ask yourself the difficult questions that make you squirm if you haven't asked yourself them before. So for instance, some of the questions that I asked myself a couple of years ago when this whole change happened for me included, what would I want to experience in life if time and money were not an issue? How do I want to grow? What do I want to contribute to this world? Where am I going? How do I want to be remembered when I'm gone? So I used this book. It's the Law of Attraction Planner. And the first part of it asks you all of these uncomfortable life questions. And at the time, I did not enjoy the process. I wanted to resist all of these questions, but it's the questions that you resist that we most need to answer. Those are some of the prompts that I did in 2021, and it made me start this YouTube channel and forget everything that I believed to that date about never sharing anything on social media and the belief of trading time for money. The life problem solving journal questions are the ones that can completely change the direction of your life. The second benefit it had for me was mental clarity and an overall better mindset. There's this book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Really good book if you're someone who wants to tap into your creative side, but you feel like your job doesn't let that side out of you. Or if you are a creative, but you want to take your work a bit further, highly recommend it. The author recommends this exercise known as morning pages. What it is, every morning, you write 3 pages of your stream of consciousness thoughts. You don't worry about the quality. You don't worry about the grammar. You just put all of your thoughts from that morning onto paper in a tone like you are speaking to yourself rather than as if you're writing. It doesn't matter what you write about. It can be mundane as I am thirsty and should have had a glass of water before I started writing. Or even if you don't know what to write, you can just write I have no idea what to write and keep writing that until something else comes into your head. The key is A, to keep your hand moving, and B, not to censor yourself. No one will know what you're writing except you. So it could be as trivial as you want, as blunt as you want, as rude as you want, if that's what you're writing. You can't write anything wrong here. So I've been doing the morning pages for 3 months now, and I found this routine to be like a mental cleanse where I can offload my worries or my clogged up thoughts into freeform writing. And it helps me free up my mental space to focus on completing other tasks with so much more clarity and focus. I've also noticed that if I repeatedly write about the same concern or the same thought day after day, my negative emotions towards it start to disappear. And there is research behind this. There was a study done by James Pennebaker. He gave a group of people the task of writing about the most painful experience in their life, where they just wrote about the feelings and the facts that surrounded their feelings, and they did it 4 times within the space of a month. And every time they wrote about their thoughts towards the situation, it became more objective and there was a lot more positive language as they went on. So this form of writing essentially can really reduce your overwhelm and improve your mental clarity. And the third benefit is the insights and memories it gives you. My very first journal is from when I was about 14 years old. It was a plain notebook that my friend gifted to me, and I ended up using it as a diary. And every now and then I'd write about how the day went, what I got up to, funny things that happened on the day. And if I didn't have that diary in those years, specifically in my teens, which is where I wrote in at the most, between 14 and like 19, I would have forgotten so many of those small things that happened. Like how I told my dad that I failed my driving test when actually I passed it, just to see his reaction. Those small things you completely forget about because they're so minor in your day. But reading it back jogs that moment and that memory that would have otherwise been lost forever. So I used a physical book for a long time. Now I'm using an app, Day One, which is also password protected, and I've been loving it. It lets you add voice notes, photos, your location, and it also has prompts built in if you don't know what to write. So there's like a ready-made template. If you do prefer having a physical book, one of my friends uses a 5-year, 1-line-a-day journal where each page covers the same date over 5 years. So she writes one sentence about what happened each day, and then when a new year starts, she can look back and see what she did on the same day in previous years. So those are the 3 main benefits that I found from journaling. And then let's move on to my top tips when it comes to how to journal effectively. Number 1, embrace simplicity. You're not writing a novel or a masterpiece. No one is going to read it. We see snippets from journals in the 1950s or from our grandparents, and we think that what we need to write needs to be revolutionary. No, just write. Don't apply any pressure on yourself whatsoever because it's going to defeat the purpose of journaling. Number 2, have prompts. There are days when I start journaling and I have nothing to write about. On those days, I find having these go-to prompts gets me in the flow. So I start with, how am I feeling? How am I feeling about the work that I have on today? How am I feeling about my relationships? How am I feeling about my fitness or my health? And that generally jogs me into writing or thinking more deeper about those specific areas in my life. And then as I start writing, I ask myself why at every sentence. So why am I feeling like this? Why does that matter? And every time I ask myself why to something I'm writing, I feel like it peels back another layer of why I'm doing something, and I understand myself or the situation a lot better. Number 3, set a reminder or a notification to do it just for 5 minutes in the morning. There doesn't need to be a 30-minute routine. Just spend 5 minutes whilst you're having your coffee or on your commute to work doing it. Do it together with something else that you already do as part of your morning routine so it doesn't feel like a chore. And number 4, really important, is to just let yourself get deep. It's kind of easy to write about what you did that day and write about something fun that happened and keeping it very surface level. The hard part is going deep and asking yourself difficult questions that aren't censored. If you're scared that someone else might see your diary and it stops you from fully being open and vulnerable, you're not going to get the same benefit out of this, because whenever I write and think that there is even the slightest possibility that someone might read what I'm writing, it completely changes my approach. I'm just not honest with myself. So think of this as a safe space and just let go when you're writing. There is also a website called Scribbler, which you can use if you have this paranoia that someone will see what you write. If you don't write for long enough, it will delete everything that you've written. I don't personally use it. I like looking back on what I've written. But if someone seeing your notes is what's stopping you, then you have this option here. As you explore the power that journaling has in improving your problem-solving skills and mental clarity and gaining valuable insights, you can expand your growth and thinking skills even further with Brilliant, who are very kindly sponsoring today's video. Brilliant is a platform where you learn by doing. It has thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI designed to elevate your critical thinking skills through problem solving instead of just memorizing. So while you're building real knowledge on specific topics, you also become a better thinker in the process. Brilliant have recently added loads of new content in data, all of which uses real world data to train you to see trends and make better informed decisions. You can start learning data analysis. You'll learn how to visualize massive data sets to make them easier to interpret, and you'll actively test your learning by working with real data sets from big companies like Starbucks and Spotify. This is just a small snippet of all the content Brilliant has to offer. You can try it out and check out everything else that they have completely for free for a full 30 days over on brilliant.org/Nischa, or you can click the link in the description. Using that same link, you can also get 20% off your premium subscription. If you start journaling after watching this video, I'd love to hear how it's worked out for you. I've also got this video here on things I did to brainwash myself for success, which also goes into the different prompts I use that again were picked out of this Law of Attraction planner. Thank you, and I hope to see you there.